up, everybody, and welcome to the greatest teacher of all time, where I, Quincy Dawson, interview teachers of color to highlight their philosophies, strategies, and personalities. Today, I've got Tracey Sydnor. What's up, Miss S?
Hey, what's good? Hi. Thank you, Quincy, so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Like, I love the energy, and you've done a lot, and I think we got a lot to talk about.
We do. I can't wait.
All right, so I'm going to start off by saying something disrespectful, and you're going to clean it up for me, okay?
Okay.
So you got some YouTube videos talking about like your journey in education, and you left your corporate job for over 10 years to be a teacher because you wanted more free time. Am I correct in that? Because that sounds nuts to me.
It is, but honestly, that was why. The overall gist of it, yes.
Tell me how that makes sense. Do you have more free time now?
You'd be surprised.
Really?
So as corporate HR, yeah, I was working like 60 hours a week. 60 hours a week. Not to say that I'm not doing that as a teacher, but I control my schedule. As corporate, it was expected. It was mandatory. You know what I mean? Like, so I would get emails from my superiors, like I supported vice presidents. And when you get emails from vice presidents at 2:00 in the morning, sometimes they expect for you to answer. They do.
Interesting.
They don't care anything about the fact that you're sleeping. They're like, we got to, like when I worked at the beer company, we had employees who would get caught drinking in the middle of the night and that kind of stuff at the beer company. So that's a fireable offense, and they can't do that without HR. So they would call me like, hey, we might need you to come in.
Yeah, that's interesting, talking about controlling your time, right?
Yes.
Because I think you see as a teacher's job, it's not just from 7:45 to 3:00 when the bell rings, because you got to grade, you got to plan for the next day. And I guess you can cut yourself off at like 8:00 at night, maybe. But you're saying with your jobs or with your previous jobs that it would be like a 24-hour round the clock type thing.
It would. And so right now, if I had to leave at 3:30 to go pick up my daughter, I could. You know, and I could go pick this up later on, and no one would be like, well, I have a kid, but I'm not picking up my kid. You know what I mean? Like, I control my schedule. So if I wake up with a burst of energy at 3:00 in the morning, which sometimes happens because I used to be a full-time entrepreneur, and I'll be honest, my sleep is still not regulated. So sometimes at 3:00 in the morning, I'll wake up with a burst of energy, and I may grade all those papers at 3:00 in the morning, and no one cares as long as it's done, by the next day. Does that make sense? So that works better with how I am wired. So whenever I want to do it, I do it. It still gets done, but it's on me. Those time sensitive things at HR, it's not, like that is you have to do it. And if your kid has a recital or if you have something that you're missing, you just miss it. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, I definitely get that. Yeah. And so thank you for cleaning that up. When I saw the video, I was like,
don't ask now, don't start a fight, because I'm like, let's go. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I was about to stand up for teachers everywhere. Like, wait, you want more free time to become a teacher?
I think it's all in how you look at it. It's perspective,
Yeah, but maybe on that same line of thinking, right? So there's a million jobs where you can literally clock in 9 to 5, in and out, right? How did you choose teaching and education?
So I think my journey was different, as I've talked about it kind of on my YouTube. I literally when I left my business, I had a full-time brick and mortar business, and it didn't go so well. I'm not ashamed to say that, that didn't go the way I planned. And so with that being the case, I wanted to make sure that my next career move would be a permanent one, and it would be something that I didn't feel lukewarm about. I didn't like firing people, if I'm being honest. I didn't like the other part of HR, like dealing with people committing suicide and that kind. It was tough, you know what I mean? And it was a lot weighing on me mentally. So I would come home and I wouldn't necessarily have anything left for my family. You know what I mean? So when I was thinking about it, I was like, where have I felt the most joy in my life? And what are the things in my life that if I could do more of it, I'd be happier? And quite honestly, I used to, not used to, but still kind of am connected with a nonprofit called 365 Girl, which I founded. And we used to do these citywide pajama conferences. The best time I've ever had in my life is at those pajama conferences. And that
so that's actually working all night.
10, I'm talking, we started at 7 p.m. and we would not leave until 7 a.m. And we're talking about some of the Chicago conferences had like 105, 106 girls. And I did this on my off days from corporate. So like I'd work Monday through Thursday, I'd leave to fly to Chicago on Thursday night, conference would be Friday. and I'd be there and I'd sleep all day, Saturday, Sunday, come back to work on Monday. So I
Man.
actually do have more time. If I'm being honest.
And again, like it must be about how you're wired, because that sounds bizarre to me. Like if I had a 9 to 5, I'll be out at 4:55. Like
I'm wired like that. I mean, if it comes to doing purpose should never make you tired. If you're being honest, right? Things that you are purposed to do. And so that 365 girl, that let me sleep at night when I was firing a lot of people. And your mom could tell you, Raytheon went through some tough times, when we had and when we had that, we were literally laying off a lot of people. That's people's livelihoods. You know what I mean? And if you're taking that away, even if it's not you, but you're the representative for the company, how are you sleeping at night?
I'm sure.
When you're watching people go, I've been here 30 years, and you're like, I know, but can you sign this paperwork? You know what I mean? Like, can you sign this paperwork for me? So I wanted to do something I was really going to feel passionate about. And the best time in my life has been that time with those kids, just seeing the light bulb and that kind of stuff. And I was like, what if I could do this full time?
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe getting onto that same path too. So
Sure.
Again, back to how you're wired and everything. We've been talking a little before this, but I already feel the energy radiating, right?
Yeah.
So you've got all this energy, right?
Sure.
How did that work with adults? I've talked to other teachers about the work between teachers and adults, and they say, students and adults, and they say students are way more fun, right? How did the adults handle this?
So if I'll be honest, it was a love-hate relationship. The people who loved me loved it. The people who that I made nervous, I think I made some people nervous, like I'd come into some of those meetings and I'd be like, okay, this is that. And some of the people would be like, whoa, especially at Raytheon, because they were engineers. So imagine engineers with like a type A, super hyper, on fire, contagious energy. And it's like,
boring.
It's like, what are you doing? So in the beginning, I was a fish out of water. And I think I was trying to conform. And then I was like, nah, it's the best part of me is when I can be myself. So like, I was just like, okay, it is what it is. Those that I make nervous, I'll read more of their body language and I'll slow down based on their body language. So I would.
Yeah. But in a sense, that's kind of toning yourself down for them, right? So I guess knowing
I don't necessarily look at it like that, like turning myself down. I think more it's like adjusting to your environment.
Okay.
Because you got to think, some people, a lot of times I needed those relationships to be collaborative. If you're shut off because I've alienated you, I've made you uncomfortable or that kind of stuff, we can't ever get anything accomplished. So for me, it was more about the relationship versus like, I came from the Army, so I'm adaptable. I could do anything, And so like, if it were me flipping because I could, and it was easier for me to do, it's not as easy if you're wired the other way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that. And so how are you now working with students? Like that translation from adults to students? Because I know me in the classroom, I'm always jumping and screaming and clapping, doing my physics and stuff. How are you in the class, and how is that adapting to students based on what you had from adults?
They love it because for the most part, I come in and I'm like kind of the bright spot. Then those are their words. Like they've been like, Miss S, you've been kind of like the bright spot. But they love it because, I mean, now there are some students who would prefer the slower pace. And when I see them do that, I do repeat a lot for those students, so I'm not leaving them behind. But 90% of the students, we're good. And they'll be like, Miss S, you're like the bright spot. I come in here, you on fire, you crazy, and you're yourself. And we kind of like that. And they like that I have other experience besides teaching. So they're really like, hey, Miss, and I love stocks and that kind of stuff. So sometimes they'd be like, Miss S, did you see the market? So they want to talk to me about stocks and that kind of stuff. And I teach English. So to have students come in here and talk to me about stocks and, what they saw on the news and that kind of stuff. And we just talk because I'm like relationship before rigor. And then culture before content. And I live by those words, relationship before rigor, because you're never going to be able to get them to that rigor point if you don't understand that it's relationship first. And the same thing with culture versus content. If you're going to come in and content, and you don't have a classroom culture, good luck with that. So I've always been the type, like I'm an open book. I start my year with my why slides and I put my whole story on there. I let them know exactly that, I came from the Army. I used to be in corporate. I used to hire and fire people, and now I'm here. And then, oh, by the way, I used to own a business. And they go, what? And then we have this whole conversation. So the first 2 days of class, I do no teaching because I know the work is going to get done. But those first 2 days, the relationship building is so important. So I take that time. And sometimes admin has come in and they're like, you're really not going to do, yeah, I'm not doing anything English related today. Today is the day for them to get to know me. And I guarantee you my students will test the highest in the school. And that's been happening. So I was like, so they leave me alone now. Now they kind of know and they're like, we're going to let you do you.
So on that,
Yeah.
I love that philosophy, right? Like I'm not teaching the first 2 days, or I'm going to spend a lot of days doing culture and maybe not necessarily teaching as much.
Yeah.
It sucks that you got to wait till the end of the school year to show the admin your test results for them to believe that in the beginning, right? Like I hate
it does. That part does suck because that was one of the things that I was just like, I really wish they would just let me be me and let me go and trust that I'm going to do it. But you also got to imagine, I mean, the HR side of me says there's a lot of teachers who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I think they're managing the 10 with rules for the 90, well, for the 100, you know what I mean? And that sucks. I really wish there was a way to differentiate so that, you're looking at my resume before I come in, I'm a professional. Don't do it. Trust me in the fact that I'm not going to come out here. And I know I have these students' futures in my hand, And so I'm like, there's no way I would come in here and not do something if I didn't think it was that important.
Right. Yeah. I guess the good side to that is that it only happens once, right? After that first year, get those results back. All right. We trust you now. You're good, Miss X.
And that's kind of what happened. After the first year, they were like, all right, so we're good. And so now nobody bothers me the first, 2 or 3 days of class because they know that my students are going to work their butts off the rest of the year. I'm the person that doesn't let you come into my class late because I used to be HR. So you might be walking to just strolling in my class. I'm like, that will get you fired. You're not doing that in this class. So I was like, if you're going to walk in and you're late, I lock the door and then I tell them to slide a pass under the door. So if they have a pass from another class, you're more than welcome. You don't have no pass? No, you need to go have a collaborative discussion with somebody in AP or somebody who can sign off on the fact that they had a discussion with you about being on time for my class. Like, yeah. And I'm consistent about it. And I think that that's where we lack. I think sometimes teachers forget the consistency, but the HR taught me that, that's the only way people accept things is if it's consistently applied. Consistently applied. So as long as those rules are the same for everybody, even my straight A students, when they walk in late, I'm like, what are we doing? Come on. don't walk into my class late. Like, better,
Yeah. Okay, Tracey. You got the answer. You know this stuff.
Not really. I am learning every day. Imagine this being my second year. I'm a third year of full-time teaching and me dealing with teachers who've been doing this for 20 years. And so it doesn't always.
But no, I got to give you credit because you know what you're talking about. And going back to those teaching strategies and like your philosophy, how you stay consistent. One of your YouTube videos I was watching where you talked about 3 different types of teachers.
Yeah.
Right. And you said you're the type of teacher who is called to like the 90% of students who like normally do their work and generally well-behaved. How did you know you were that type of teacher?
Honestly, the 365 girl experience. So even at our conferences, we would have girls that like wouldn't be on because we had a jam-packed schedule. Like we'd be like talent show, this and that. And we'd have girls that want to sit off in the corner and want to do things that were not a part of like the conference stuff, want to go hide in stairwells and that kind of stuff. And what I realized very quickly is that I'm not as effective with that group. So even at the conference, I would have people who had a different life story than mine who could grab those girls. So when I got in the classroom, I figured it'd be the same, but after I started subbing and then I started full-time teaching, I was like, oh, it's exactly the same. Like I'm not called to the students who are really going to be, and I definitely get this unpopular opinion. Not everybody's going to feel this way. And I actually was worried about putting those videos up because I was like, clearly some parents going to be in the comment like, what the heck are you talking about? You're a teacher, you're supposed to be called to everyone. And I was like, come to a classroom. Come into the school before you start educating me on what's happening in real classes,
Yeah, I mean, those are part of the realities of it. And I applaud you for realizing that in yourself. Like, okay, this is my niche. Like, I'm good with this.
It's my niche. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not good. But what I am good at is creating relationships. So I like the other 2 groups that I talk about. Like if you talk about the second group, so that second group is really going to be those in-between kids. So these are the kids that are not necessarily top 70% of your class, of your school, but they're probably going to be that middle group. That's really probably between So if you've got the top 70%, you're talking about like 71 to like 90. You know what I mean? And those are students who are with a little extra help could do it. But I'm so busy trying to high perform the 90% that group is going to be tough for me too. So I think there's a second set of teachers who that is their niche. If you're right on the like if you are somebody that has like some other stuff going on or whatever, and you just really need somebody to help you work through that before you can be great, I think we need to find those teachers too, because they are so necessary and
Yeah.
they matter. But I don't think they know they matter because they're too busy trying to be 90 teachers.
Interesting. That's an interesting thought about it. Yeah. Who is that last group of teachers? You said 3?
It's for me, it has been the amazing like EE teachers, the co-teachers for EL. So we have we call it exceptional education, and we call it the EL, which is English second learners, you know, like so EL. So sometimes that group is really challenging for me, you know, and so the support teachers that do that, who can literally meet those students exactly where they are, I'm not necessarily that good with bridging that gap, because once I get into that rigor, oh, we going. The bus is moving. And so how do we make sure that those students are not left behind? And I think it's that third group of teachers, the ones who have just the bleeding hearts for that 10% and will not let them quit and will not let them go and will find all of the scaffolds and everything that they need to be successful. And I don't know why we don't hype up that population just because it's the 10%. The teachers who have that gift, that's crazy. That's bananas, because I think that's an even better skill.
Yeah, I think maybe the reason why they're not hyped up is because no one is focused on being one of these 3 types, right? In teacher education programs and everything, or in school staff meetings, they teach you to be everything. Like, oh yeah, this is how you cater to everybody, right? I think it's really interesting that you took that time to think that, okay, maybe I'm, and it's not even a weakness, it's telling your strengths and highlighting your strengths and acknowledging your shortcomings.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing. If you can effectively do that, just think about how much better schools run.
Yeah.
If you take your ego out of it and you go, I already know I'm not for those students. And those students, they kind of know it too. If we're being honest, it's not like it's a secret to them, you know, because they're the ones that's probably cutting my class and that kind of stuff. So those are the ones that I have to reach out to, you know, those counterparts and go, hey, have you seen so-and-so? Do you have the relationship? Can you talk to them? What is it that we need to do to get them back on track? You know, even if it's that they spend, you know, 20 minutes in your class getting somewhat caught up and then come to my class for the, you know, for the lecture part and that kind of stuff. Whatever we need to do to get these students apart, but sometimes it's not. And honestly, I think teacher programs, and it's no diss to that and that kind of stuff. I think it's just that we've been taught so much that we have to be everything. Because I'm in one of those teacher preparation programs too, because of course I didn't go to school for teaching. So I had to be in one of those preparation programs. And I just think that, and it's no diss to it, I think people are thinking they want you to be everything, but they're not realizing that's what's contributing to the burnout.
Yeah.
If you're doing things that you are not comfortable doing, you're going to go home exhausted, you know, because you're trying to do something that's not innate. And then conversely, if you do things that you have passion around, like you go home with so much energy, you go home with energy. Like that's how I have time to plan stuff and do other stuff and spend time with my family, because I really do just spend the time. And like I said, parents are going to beat me up about it, but it is what it is. I spend the time being where I could be maximum effective, and then I use my resources to do the other stuff. I just can't. I can't. And I tried my first year and I was like, this is a disaster. I'm gonna be doing this again, you know? And I literally was debating on whether I was coming back because of that first year. It was tough. And I don't think we're honest enough with first year teachers about how tough it is, even if you have other experience. It's just tough. Yeah. But if you can make it through, you're gonna kill it. Once it's like going somewhere you've never been, you know, like imagine how long it takes you to drive somewhere you've never been, right? And then think about the next time you go, how quick you get there. It's the same way it's gonna be, you know, after first year teaching.
I hear that. That's a cool way of thinking about it. You kind of brought this up earlier, and we know teachers are getting burnt out probably a lot faster than other professions. You're kind of doing a lot of things to help prevent burnout for other teachers while you're also doing a lot. So like full disclosure, you're the head of the BSU club at your school. You just You just drove some students to a field trip this morning.
Yeah.
And you still got 2 other big events that you're planning. So
Exactly.
you're planning the teacher refuel retreat and
Yeah.
also a silent teacher party.
Right.
Tell me about those. Why are you doing that?
Okay, let's start with the silent teacher party. It's Teacher Appreciation Week. We should be having a good time. And if you think about the oxymoron with the silent party, so it's the silent disco, you can put the headphones on. Teachers are always complaining that we don't have enough peace and quiet. But this allows you to put your headphones on and get it in, and then the other thing is we want to get a lot of teachers together, but not in a way that we alienate people with the genre of music. The silent parties allows you to switch, like if you like R&B, there's an R&B channel. If you like country music, there's a country music channel. And so you'll see people dancing around there and be like, wait a minute. Okay, I want to be on your channel. Like, what are you listening to? And I think that that's just cool. It's Teacher Appreciation Week. I think if we could do more to refuel teachers, it'll be a lot easier, Like, I'm hoping that it would change like our profession and make it cool. Because right now, I don't know, do you have students who literally are like, they want to be teachers? No, nobody trying to be no teacher. Like they think it sucks, but that's partially what we give off too,
I hear
we
that.
make teaching sound fun. And if we're like, hey, we kick it on the weekend, they be like, oh, so y'all regular. Yes, we're regular. We're regular people. Like we have lives,
Yeah, and that's really cool. So again, you said during Teacher Appreciation Week, this is a Friday in May coming up in Texas, yeah? Not Texas.
In Nashville, so yeah. So it's May the 6th, and we're literally going to party and have the silent disco first and then karaoke later. And so the plan is to plant the seed that, okay, this girl, so I'm the director of fun for my academy. We have academy set up. And so I plan events
wait. Yeah. You are the director of fun?
Director of fun, which is a fancy word for HR planning party planner. So I do that at my academy. I love it. It's one of the things that gives me life here, So I plan Top Golf. We just came from Top Golf like 3 weeks ago. And so literally I send the invite out. I'm like, hey, pay me $20. I got the food. We got Top Golf, everything. Just pay your $20 and show up. And that's what they do. And I found out teachers really love that when they could just pay their money and show up. Because we got too much that we're planning. So, but I love the planning part because I like to get to know people in my city and, and that kind of stuff. So that's what I've been doing. We've done Top Golf. We did a bowling party. We had Olympics, like video game Olympics. It was super fun. Like we just do things that make it fun. And I do it once a month.
Okay. So is this thing like open to the public? I know you said it's a committee at your school.
So the things I do once a month, that has only been at my school. But what it helped me realize, some of the teachers are like, I look forward to this every month. So it really did help me realize that maybe we should have more, maybe I should be planning more events. So then I did the silent disco and I'm so excited about the retreat. I cannot tell you how excited I am.
So yeah, what's up with this retreat? So there's a thing in July happening.
In July.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
It's fantastic. So you'll spend 3 full days in beautiful Smoky Mountains. So if you've never been, so it's kind of like Big Bear, but not, like it's a whole different thing. And this cabin is like a luxury cabin. We're talking 9 bedrooms, 11 baths. Like it's got a movie theater. It's got a swimming pool, everything a teacher would need to like unplug and relax. Like we're going to have it's like real world for teachers. Think about that.
I can think of that in 2 ways. So I don't know.
Right. Well, good real world. Not like drama, we're cursing everybody out. That kind of
throwing drinks at people.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. But I'm thinking more like, so it's more like, just no holds bar. Let's talk about what's happening. Let's spend some time. Let's watch some crazy movies. Let's have a barbecue, moonshine tasting. It's gonna be a blast. It'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, man. This stuff sounds great. And again, so you're talking about your school events at first, but the retreat and the silent party, those are things for the public.
Anybody.
Okay.
Yeah, anybody that's a teacher. And actually, you don't even have to be in Tennessee. We're working at now so we can get transportation from all the major airports. So it should be, well, really, it's just 2 airports. It would be from Knoxville. So if you fly in, you're good. We got the transportation. We got everything. You don't have to pay anything once you're here. All your meals are included. There's a chef that's going to be hooking us up. It's going to be great. Like this good stuff right here. Because I think if we can have more of these, like my vision is to do maybe 1 quarterly. Because I actually think we need that. And maybe it's not the same group every time, because obviously space is limited when you're in a luxury cabin, But as we keep going, maybe there's 4 or 5 cabins and we do that together, So the plan is for this to grow into something that teachers are like, oh my God, you got to make it to the refuel, you got to do that. So it's my first one.
Yeah, man. Tracey, director of fun. I don't know. right now I'm thinking, so I also have like a lot of ideas I want to execute and do and everything, but
Sure.
I'm not tired, but I always have the fear or thought that, is this going to be my year of burnout? Is next summer going to be it? Like, are you thinking about any of this right now? Because again, BSU, you drove for a field trip this morning, you got kids, you're teaching, you're playing 2 events, you also plan an event every month. Like,
Yeah,
do you think about the
I don't.
burnout for you?
I don't. You know what? I do take mental health days. I don't
Yeah.
take them often, but I have taken them, you know? And like I said, I don't take them often more so because I'm thinking about the kids. Like my kids specifically, especially in my school, we got some issues with attendance, even with teachers. So I might be the only teacher that showed up that day.
Whew.
So on days that I want to take, you know, mental health, and then the students are telling me you're the bright spot, how am I gonna just, you know what I mean?
Hard.
Like that's tough. So I planned them out very much. Like you remember when you were in college and it was like you had 3 unexcused absences? Oh, I definitely plan my days out. You know,
Okay.
so like
Okay.
I'll just look at the calendar and be like, barring me getting sick or something like that, I'm gonna take, you know, probably these 2 days, you know, and then I plan them out. I usually try to make it so that like they could watch a movie while I'm gone or something like that. And I plan it so that like if we just finished the book, then I'll be like, okay, because I teach English. So I'll be like, we're just finishing, you know, like we read Perks of a Wallflower. So there was a movie that went with that. So I took the day after, you know, that. And I was like, I put it up for the sub. I told them, hey, play this movie. They've been watching the book. They'll be interested. I mean, they've been reading the book. They'll be interested, you know? So
That
that way the education still happens, but I can take my time to go, woo, you know?
no, I like the way you're putting that, because you're saying it that you're taking these mental days off as a break, and you're
Mhm.
also giving your students a break, right? Like I've heard of teachers give like, all right, you have 300 odd math questions to do in the book. Like,
Yeah,
no, I need a break too. Like, you taking a break? Come
yeah.
on.
And we work towards that. Like, so last year, for example, like the semester was ending on December 11th. And I was like, well, that was when we were getting ready for finals. And I told all my students, we're going to work like crazy until December 3rd. And then after December 3rd, let's do some more of this relationship, like ancillary lessons, that kind of stuff. But I need you to push like crazy. We're going to read this book. The book's going to be read in 3 weeks. This is that. And I told them the whole thing. And I was surprised at how many students got on board. They were like,
Really? Okay.
and then I told them, I was like, what that would mean is that when you're stressed out with every one of your classes, you know, you won't have to be stressed out with mine because we already got the work done.
Okay.
So once I told them that, they were like, okay, okay. So every time they would complain, I go, we got a contract December 3rd, you know? So
Look
let's
at these
keep going.
contracts.
Right. I was like, no, you and I, I was like, as a class, we decided that we were gonna push because, you know, after December 3rd, I'm ordering pizza and we're gonna be out here killing it, you know, like while you're stressed with all your other classes. So they buy into it. And I mean,
Okay.
you'll be surprised what kids will buy into if you tell them. You just gotta tell them, you know?
Yeah. That business side negotiation contract that's coming out. It's coming out.
Facts.
Man. All right. Tracey, Miss S, Director of Fun, thank you so much for being here today. All your thoughts about education, your experience doing this and your mindset going forward, your giving these teachers grace in their planned events. It's one of the, or all the reasons why I think you might be one of the greatest teachers of all time. No, it's fine.
I appreciate it. I'm so grateful for you having me. I think just your vision behind this, especially highlighting teachers of color, because that's a whole different group. And we come with our own set of issues and not necessarily inherent. I mean, it's like teaching through like these confirmation hearings and that kind of stuff. Like you're coming in with baggage, you know, like we're coming in with like real baggage, and to be able to, you know, to put that aside and put the kids' well-being, and for you to come up with this great idea to highlight teachers. Shout out to Quincy.
Thank you,
Mr. Dawson. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, trying to uplift and highlight teachers. So yeah, thank you to everyone else for watching The Greatest Teacher of All Time, where I interview teachers of color to highlight their philosophies, strategies, and personalities.